let me tell you about one of my favorite motivation topics, the topic of flow. So, flow is that magic moment when you become just so completely immersed in something that you just feel a sense of effortless control. So, let me start writing some of those down. It's immersive. You feel a sense of control over what you're doing. It can feel effortless. And one really interesting thing about flow is the way that time can distort while you're experiencing it. So, for example, say you're a painter, and here you have your painter's palette, and as a painter, maybe you spend hours working on your painting, but those hours can just fly by like a couple minutes. Or maybe you're a tennis player, and during the actual tennis game, taking that perfect serve just takes an instant of time, but that instant of time can seem to stretch out as though it took much longer. And as you're doing that, you feel at one with your actions. That's one of the key aspects of flow, is that there's no separation between who you are and what you're doing. And so one additional aspect of flow is that it's what we call autotelic. So autotelic is this Greek word, and it means that it's fun in and of itself. It's the activity itself is rewarding. That you don't do flow for some other rewards. Like, you're painting because you enjoy painting. You're playing tennis because you enjoy tennis. So it's rewarding in and of itself. So the idea of flow was come up with by this psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. And I think that that's a great fun name to say. It's one of those words sort of like, hubbub, or say squeegee. Squeegee, right? And so, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, I feel like, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Like, if that were my name, I'd be so busy just saying my own name all the time. I wouldn't even be able to get anything done. I'd just be like, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. So it's probably a good thing that that's not my name, because then I wouldn't have had time to come up with what Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi did. He came up with the concept of flow. And so let me tell you a story about how this came about. He grew up in Italy, or in the 1930s and 1940s, so he was there around World War II, and at one point he found himself inside an Italian prison camp, and he found that while he was in that prison camp, he liked to play chess. And so he was able to deal with the realities of the prison camp a lot better than many of the other prisoners, because he was able to immerse himself in this game of chess. And then after World War II, he immigrated to the United States, and he wanted to study what was it about playing that game of chess that made it possible for him to cope with the realities of the prison camp so much better than the other prisoners. Why was he able to immerse himself in that game of chess and enjoy it? So he came up with this diagram, where he says that there is a balance between skills and challenges. So we have here skills, here's high skill and low skill, and challenges. And here is high challenge and low challenge. And so say, for example, you walked into your math class, and the teacher told you today, okay, now we're going to be covering single-digit addition again. 2 plus 2 equals boring. You'd be like, okay, wake me up when it's all over. If you've already done that, you have the high skills but low challenge. It's not challenging enough, so you're bored. On the other hand, suppose you have really, say, some low skill, but a fairly high level of challenge. Something over in this area would be, say, for example, you walk into your science class, and your teacher says, okay, I want you to build me a working spaceship, and go fly it a couple times around the Earth, orbit, and then come back here and report on it. That would be something that would be beyond your ability. It would cause anxiety. So this area over here, where you have low skill, but the challenges are too high, would be causing anxiety. Really, I can spell that. Let's take out that extra N there. Um, and so Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi was mainly interested in this middle section, which is where flow occurs, where your skills are balanced with their challenges. And he said that there are 3 things that contribute to flow, or I guess 3 things that are necessary for flow to occur. The first thing is this right here, the balance between skills and challenges. The second thing is that you have to have concentration. You need to be able to focus on what you're doing so that you're not distracted by other things, and you can really enjoy whatever you're immersed in that moment. And the third thing is there needs to be immediate feedback and clear goals. And so, if we look over here, if having feedback helps to keep within this flow channel, because if you have feedback, you can make sure that the challenges don't become too great, making things too hard and causing anxiety, or it doesn't become too unchallenging, so that it doesn't become too boring. So you can stay in the middle in this flow state. And one interesting thing about flow is that as we learn it, as we learn things, we sort of follow a squiggly line up this flow channel. So say, for example, you're playing an old-style, retro adventure game. You might start out down at the beginning here, and then play up a little ways, and then you face some sort of boss monster. And then, after that boss monster, things get a little bit easier for a little bit, and then you go on back up, and you face another, bigger, tougher boss monster. And then, things get a little bit easier for a little bit, and you go on and you face another, even bigger, tougher boss monster. Rawr! And then, along that whole way, you're hopefully keeping immersed, having fun with the game, and so things aren't getting too boring, but you're not getting too anxious either. And so, learning can follow that same pattern. Maybe in your classroom, hopefully your teachers will have tried to plan things out so that you start out at the beginning. You don't know the skills yet, but hopefully it's not too challenging, and you build up, and as you learn things, you get more and more prepared, and eventually you take some sort of quiz. And, after the quiz, things get a little bit easier. You can slack off for a little bit maybe, and then things build up harder again, and eventually you take that second quiz. And for that second quiz, hopefully you have a bit more skills, and hopefully it's a little bit more challenging. And then things get easy again for a little bit, and then things will build up until finally you have some sort of big end of term unit exam, which is like the boss monster. And I see you get up to that final boss monster, and hopefully along that whole way you've been able to balance so that things aren't too boring and they don't cause too much anxiety. And as you learn along that way, you get to hopefully remain within that middle bit. And so that's the state of flow.